Mhm. Um, okay, well, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for taking the time to come here and take time for yourselves and for introspection and journey. Um, this is my second time being the speaker here, and I'm so honored. Um, when I spoke first in the summer, I spoke about verse 319, about doing your duty without attachment to the outcome or the fruits of your efforts. Um, and in that, I believe I mentioned the importance of doing your dharma in order to do your duty without attachment. Um, when you are, the Gita mentions throughout the entire scripture the importance of doing what is prescribed to you. And what I wanted to explore today was more another layer deeper into that. What does it mean to do your dharma? What does it look like? What does it feel like when you are in an alignment with that? So in the summer, I mentioned finding your dharma, meaning finding what you're good at, what you want to do, and your specific gifts that you have available to offer the world. What does the world need? Where does all of it intersect? And in that sweet spot lies your dharma, your purpose. In life, especially I feel in modern times, and maybe not, and even traditionally speaking, with the caste system that was and is in place, so often we grow up and wind up doing things that are not actually our dharma, right? We become doctors because that's what we're told to do. We become lawyers, we become engineers, we become mothers, we marry, we don't marry, whatever it may be, because we're told to do these things. And so we blindly follow out of desire to appease family, appease society. And we tell ourselves that in doing so, we will find happiness. Excuse me, I need to put my phone on do not disturb. But that leads to a lot of unhappiness. And when you are not happy sustainably, genuinely, it makes it very, very difficult to do your duty without attachment, right? Because the happiness isn't internal anymore. You're now externally forcing happiness. You're telling yourself that, oh, I'll be happy because I have this education, I have this house, I got married, I have children, I have the right car, I wear the right clothes, maybe I go to the right places where everyone vacations, or whatever it may be. And then that's not true happiness, is it? Because now we're relying on the external world to dictate whether or not we're happy. And real happiness, as many of you know, is an internal source. It is never ending and results from being aligned when the life that you live, the actions you take, when they align with your values and who you are as a person, your unique, beautiful individual self, when all of those things align, is when you can almost unlock this puzzle of being happy, sustainably joyful, living a life of gratitude and purpose. So what does it look like when those actions are not aligned? As I touched on just now, is dis-ease results, stress results. I think in modern times, we have sold ourselves this idea that in order to have truly earned something, to deserve something, true success means that you have blood, sweat, and tears running from your body in order to prove your worth, prove you've earned it, prove you deserve it. And in reality, a life when connected to God and the happiness and inner peace that results is actually full of ease and not dis-ease. So when dis-ease results, when our values are not aligned with our actions, you have these imbalance of the gunas, right? The rajasic external driving force, anger, blaming others when things don't work out, shaming others when things don't go your way, driving towards materialistic gain, infinitely insatiably so. Alternatively, tamasic, where you have just an apathy of, no matter what I do, I can't find happiness, so why bother? You can wind up in this ego state of, because I'm not able to control, I do everything in my power to exert that control. And even though the short-term results may be favorable for me, they're not sustainable, right? Which can certainly lead to this cycle of despair. No matter what you do, no matter how much you do, that happiness just can't seem to be gained. And the root of it is the ahamkara, right? The maya that you're creating in telling yourself that I'll be happy when. And that internal happiness that is lacking makes it impossible to do your duty without attachment, right? Because now we're attaching the action, the duty, to success, financial gain, prestige, fame, honor, whatever you assign value to, assign worth to. So how do you know if you're aligned in these values? How do you align if are you living your dharma? Anything out of alignment usually will result in unpleasantness, right? You find yourself guilting, blaming, shaming, and it's not just towards other people, not just towards situations, but our worst critic is ourselves, right? Internally, that voice that most of us in this world right now are not conscious of, that voice that tells us, I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I don't deserve it. That voice just lives, and each day we live out of alignment, that voice gets stronger and stronger and stronger. Compare that to being in alignment, where I think we've all seen these people, right? And you can take any example of someone successful, particularly in modern time. If you look at people like Bill Gates, Gandhi, MLK, Will Smith, Barack Obama, Helen Keller, all of these people are ordinary people doing extraordinary things because they are all aligned in their dharma, or were all aligned in their dharma. So it isn't really anything unattainable by the ordinary person. It's just a matter of how willing you are to explore what your values are and how well those values are in alignment with your actions, with your thoughts. Which is where I wanted to actually bring in another verse, 5:18, where Krishna talks about the true enlightened person sees God in every single living being, be it a dog, an elephant, a Brahman, or a dog eater. So when you are able to be aligned, then you are able to see the beauty that lies within all of us, even those of us that are challenging, right? Or rather the ones that challenge us in life. Maybe it's a child or a parent or a sibling. When you yourself are aligned and at peace and at ease, then no longer is your spirit and mind triggered and looking for the buttons that other people seemingly want to push so easily or are able to push so easily, right? So I thought it was interesting that Krishna talks about truly seeing equanimity and seeing God in both the thief and the police officer, both the murderer and the victim, the patient and the doctor, the parent and the child. They're just two sides of the same coin. But in order to be able to see that beauty, see that equanimity, find that peace, find that balance, you must be aligned. So in my work, and especially my work as a mom, I often talk to my kids about using your body to know whether or not you are aligned. Who is it that's doing the talking? Is it the God that lives within you? Or is it your inner critic, your saboteur that controls your mind and spins these illusions of ahamkara and maya? So it seems a bit maybe primary in nature, but something that I've learned is very powerful is connecting the thoughts that I'm having with the emotions and sensations arising in my body that result in an action. And if that action is not something that I feel is aligned or something that is desirable or pleasant, though it is simple, it's certainly not easy to return to this gift of our bodies. For example, if you are triggered by something your child says or does, it's often powerful to pause instead of reacting and do a quick scan of what your body is saying, what your body is doing. Maybe your heart's beating faster, particularly the sensations are stronger in your head or your chest. Maybe there's something interesting that you notice about the way you're posturing your shoulder. Maybe you're hunched over, or maybe comparing it to a time where you feel most attached and aligned to your values, where you are standing straight and your face is at ease and you're able to smile with genuine compassion. Noticing these things is a powerful way to take a quick check almost, and you can do it repeatedly throughout the day to see, where am I in alignment? Where am I in my thoughts and my actions? How well does this line up with what I am given purpose for on this earth? So again, it's something that just I've learned over my time as a mom, as something powerful, not only for myself to do when parenting, but also to teach my kids to do, to teach my husband to do, to teach my clients to do things. These are small things. They're simple things, but certainly not easy when you're in the moment and feeling out of alignment. These things are often easy to forget, but very powerful ways to reset and reconnect with the God that lives within us. That was really more my thoughts for this evening. I know that wasn't very long, but when I was thinking about what to say, I think, Dr. Raju, I shared with you when you asked me, what am I going to speak about? And I said, I will just look through the scriptures and see what God calls me to speak about. And I couldn't quite come up with anything as easily as I could the first time. But somehow this is what resulted, was out of my meditations, was these are the words and the thoughts that I felt called to share. So because I don't actually have a lot more that I feel I'm called to share in the moment, I'd like to just open it up to discussion and further exploration if anyone's interested.
Yes, I think what we can do, maybe a brief 5 to 10 minute session on meditation, like what a guided meditation by you, and then Anup will chant Hanuman Chalisa and Nirvana Shatkam, if you're all okay with that. Anup?
Raju.
Yeah, would that be good?
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Okay, so Seemaji, if you want to guide
Mhm.
us, and those who are driving, please do not follow us. And I hope there's no one driving and listening to your session. But if that's
Yes.
okay with you, Seemaji, a 10-minute session, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
I invite you all to settle into your seats. See if you can feel the weight of your body. Are you distributing it more heavily to the right or to the left, to the front or to the back? If you can explore maybe stacking your spine, your vertebrae, one on top of the other, allowing an almost invisible thread to gently guide your spine taller, create space between your ears and your shoulders. Bring attention to your face. See if you can relax your forehead, the space between your eyebrows. Can you bring softness around your eyes? Can you relax your nose? Your cheeks? Can you relax your ears and your jaw? Your lips, tongue? Can you create space between your top and bottom teeth? Relax your throat. Bring attention to your chest. Can you invite even more space between your ears and your shoulders? Can you send that attention and gentle relaxation down through your arms, relaxing your wrists, the palms, the fingers? Bring attention to your belly, abdominal area. How much can you invite softness in? Send that loving kindness towards your feet, relaxing on the way, your thighs, your knees, your calves, the arches of your feet, and your toes. Gently guide your attention back to your breath. Upon each inhalation, explore how far your breath can expand your lungs and ribcage, both right to left, front to back. And top to bottom, how much space can you create within the support of the confinement that you have, the safety of the confinement that the ribcage provides? Envision that breath gently in through your nose, cool and soft, drawing down into your lungs, breathing life in all directions, in particular to your back body. How much life, love, intention, awareness can you send to your posterior ribs, posterior lungs? What new areas can your breath find? Check in with your face, how your shoulders are positioned, your feet. Stay with your breath. And as you stay with your breath, I invite you to contemplate what areas of life are in alignment for you. In what ways are you living your dharma at work, at home? Stay with your breath. This is merely contemplation, no judgment. Merely a reflection of the successes and celebrations we have had in areas where we are living our truth, living our purpose, giving meaning to life. In a way that only you can. As you stay with your breath, I invite you to be brave enough to ask yourself, what is an area of life in which I am out of alignment? Notice if this brings up any sensations for you physically. Maybe there's a heaviness, tightness. What are those sensations telling you about this area of life that maybe requires a little bit more aligning? What kind of thoughts come up when you think about this area of malalignment? I invite you to consider, as you stay with your breath, gentle, curiously, what is one thing that you can do to shift back into alignment? Maybe it's letting go of an obligation, looking at a challenge with new perspective. Maybe it's reaching out to a member of the community to ask for help with something. But I invite you to see the gift and what is lacking, and find what is one thing you can do to bring that area of your life into alignment so that you can better perform your dharma in the time that we have been given here on this planet. Imagine what it would feel like to be even more so at peace, aligned, and therefore unattached to the fruits of your labor. Merely thinking about being in greater alignment, how does that change the sensation in your body? Is there a lightness, a sense of freedom, maybe a sense of abundance or opportunity? Again, check with your breath. May it be calm. May it be conscious. As we stay with our breath, I invite you to consider a person that may have either been challenging for you today or in the past. I invite you to see, instead of a challenge, the gift this person is giving you. What lessons are they teaching you? What can you do with the dis-ease of this interaction and turn it into ease? Maybe it's empathizing for them. Maybe seeing it from their perspective. And maybe finding just one thing that they're saying or feeling or doing that's right in your mind. What is the God in them serving for the God in you? As you stay with your breath, I ask you to breathe in love for yourself and for those around us, both near and far away. To breathe in compassion and kindness. May you let go of the judgment, the need to control, the need to blame, coerce. You may gently open your eyes and bring your attention back to the here and now. How's everyone feeling?
Good.
Wonderful.
Very good.
Good.
Thank
I would
you.
love to hear any thoughts or any points of discussion from anything I've shared.
So what we shall do, Dr. Biram, if you're okay, we'll do Hanuman Chalisa and then Nirvana Shatkam. Anup, you think you can do both in about 10 minutes and then we can have some discussion, 10, 12 minutes?
Yeah.
Dr. Biram, is that okay with you?
Sure.
Yeah, Seemaji, is that good?
Yeah,
Then we'll have this
Absolutely.
as
Absolutely.
the tradition
Sure.
goes, and then we'll have some discussion till 8 o'clock.
Chocolates.
Thank
Sure.
you. No, over to you. Anup, over to you.
Thank you. Sri Guru Charana Saroja Raja Nij Man Mukur Sudari Bharnau Raghuvar Bimala Yasu Jodayaka Falachari बुद्धिहीन तनु जानिके सुमिरो पवन कुमार बल बुद्धि विद्या देहु मोहि हरहु कलेश विकार जय हनुमान ज्ञान गुण सागर जय कपीस तिहु लोक उजागर राम दूत अतुलित बल धामा अंजनी पुत्र पवन सुत नामा महावीर विक्रम बजरंगी कुमति निवार सुमति के संगी कंचन वरण विराज सुवेशा कानन कुंडल कुंचित केशा हाथ वज्र औ ध्वजा विराजै कांडे मूंज जनेऊ साजै शंकर सुवन केसरी नंदन, तेज प्रताप महाजगवंदन, विद्यावान गुणी अति चातुर, राम काज करिबे को आतुर। प्रभु चरित्र सुनिवे को रसिया, राम लखन सीता मन बसिया। सूक्ष्म रूप धरि सियहि दिखावा, विकट रूप धरि लंक जरावा। भीम रूप धरि असुर समारे, रामचंद्र के काज समारे। लायस जीवन लखन जियाए, श्री रघुवीर हर शिवर लाए। रघुपति कीन्ही बहुत बड़ाई, तुम मम प्रिय भरत सम भाई। सहस बदन तुमरो यश गावै, अस कहि श्रीपति कंठ लगावै। सनकादिक ब्रह्मादि मुनीषा, नारद शारद सहित ईशा। जम कुबेर दिक्पाल जहाते, कवि कोविद कहि सके कहाते। तुम उपकार सुग्रीवहि कीन्हा, राम मिलाय राजपद दीना। तुमरो मंत्र विभीषण माना, लंकेश्वर भय सब जग जाना। जुग सहस्र योजन पर भानु, लील्यो ताहि मधुर फल जानु। प्रभु मुद्रिका मेलि मुख माही, जलधि लांघि गए अचर जनाही। दुर्गम काज जगत के जेते, सुगम अनुग्रह तुमरे तेते। राम दुआरे तुम रखवारे, होत न आज्ञा बिन पैसारे। सब सुख लहे तुम्हारी शरणा, सब सुख लहे तुम्हारी शरणा। तुम रक्षक काहू को डरना, आपन तेज समारो आपै। तीनों लोक हांकते कांपै, भूत पिशाच निकट नहीं आवै। महावीर जब नाम सुनावै, नाशे रोग हरे सब पीरा। जपत निरंतर हनुमत वीरा, नाशे रोग हरे सब पीरा। जपत निरंतर हनुमत वीरा। संकट से हनुमान छुड़ावै, मन क्रम वचन ध्यान जो लावै। सब पर राम तपस्वी राजा, तिनके काज सकल तुम साजा। और मनोरथ जो कोई लावै, सोई अमित जीवन फल पावै। चारों जुग परताप तुम्हारा, है प्रसिद्ध जगत उजियारा। साधु संत के तुम रखवारे, असुर निकंदन राम दुलारे। अष्ट सिद्धि नवनिधि के दाता, असवर दीन जानकी माता। राम रसायन तुम्हारे पासा, सदा रहो रघुपति के दासा। तुम्हारे भजन राम को पावै, जन्म जन्म के दुख बिसरावै। अंत काल रघुपति पुर जाई, जहाँ जन्म हरि भक्त कहाई। और देवता चित्त न धरई, हनुमत से सर्व सुख करई। संकट हटे मिटे सब पीरा, जो सुमिरे हनुमत बलवीरा। संकट हटे मिटे सब पीरा, जो सुमिरे हनुमत बलवीरा। जय 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 हनुमान गोसाई, कृपा करहु गुरुदेव की नाई। जो शत बार पाठ कर कोई, छूट ही बंदी महासुख होई। जो यह पढ़े हनुमान चालीसा, होय सिद्धि साखी गौरीशा। तुलसीदास सदा हरि चेरा, कीजय नाथ हृदय मह डेरा। कीजय नाथ हृदय मह डेरा। पवन तनय संकट हरणा, मङ्गलमूर्तिरूपां रामलखन सीता सहित हृदय बसहु सुरभूपा हृदय बसह सुरभूपाम् सियावर रामचंद्र की जय पवन सुत हनुमान की जय बोलो सब संतन की जय. I'll chant Nirvana Shatkam. This is apt as a follow-up to the meditation you all went through. मनोबुद्ध्यहङ्कार चेत्तानि नाहं न च श्रोत्रजिह्वेन च घ्राणनेत्रे न च व्योमभूमिर्न तेजो न वायुः चिदानन्दरूप शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूप शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं न च प्राणसंज्ञो न वै पञ्चवायुः न वा सप्तधातुर्न वा पञ्चकोशः न वाक्पाणिपादं न चोपस्तपायो चिदानन्दरूप शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूप शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं न मे द्वेषरागौ न मे लोभमोहौ मदो नैव मे नैव मात्सर्यभावः न धर्मो न चार्तो न कामो न मोक्षः चिदानन्दरूप शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूप शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं न पुण्यं न पापं न सौख्यं न दुःखं न मन्त्रो न तीर्थं न वेदा न यज्ञाः अहं भोजनं नैव भोज्यं न भोक्ता चिदानन्दरूप शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूप शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं न मृत्युर्न शङ्का न मे जातिभेदः पिता नैव मे नैव माता न जन्म न बन्धुर्न मित्रं गुरुर्नैव शिष्य चिदानन्दरूप शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूप शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहम् अहं निर्विकल्पो निराकाररूपो विभुत्वाश्च सर्वत्र सर्वेन्द्रियाणाम् न च सङ्गतं नैव मुक्तिर्न मेयः चिदानन्दरूप शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूप शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूप शिवोऽहं 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 शिवोऽहम् ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरि ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः हरि ओम लोका समस्ता सुखिनो भवन्तु. ॐ Thank you.
Thank you, Anup, and thank you, Simaji. And now the session is open for discussion, and Dr. Beeram, please take over. And just wanted to recite the verse which you quoted, Simaji, from 5th chapter, verse 18. Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavihastini Sunichaiva Swapakecha Pandita Samadarshinaha. Thank you.
Seema, that
Just
was
before-
a beautiful session.
Oh, I'm so glad. Before I forget, I wanted to actually dedicate my talk today. A few days ago, the world lost a very, very gifted pediatric critical care physician, Dr. Kurt Froelich. And he, for those of you who may or may not know, he was battling cancer. He was 47. And I didn't have much interaction with him personally, but he trained Manish. And I know I'm biased, but I think Manish is one of the most gifted pediatric intensivists there are. And for Dr. Froelich, he never stopped serving his patients, even at the depth of his illness. He was still actively involved in ECMO education. I don't know how much he was really seeing patients, especially given the last year, COVID, and being immunocompromised himself, but he never stopped fighting for his patients. And he was a prime example of what it meant to do your duty without attachment to success or failure. So this talk was for him, for Dr. Froelich, and may he rest in peace.
Thank you, Seema. Seema, there were a few comments, but not questions though. It says, thanks, Seema, for informative talk and meditation. Thanks for the informative talk. Thank you for the wise words spoken from your heart. This was excellent. Thank you. Great session. Those are the comments on.
Thank everyone for their kind words and for taking the time to listen.
Simaji,
Yes, sir.
what is mean by making a space between? What is that space? What I'm unable to. When meditating, you are telling a space, create a space between. What do you mean by that? Silence, or what is that?
It's interesting, isn't it? Because nothing has meaning until we assign it meaning. So really what it means to you, what it means to me, when I say make a space, I'm assuming you mean specific to between your ears and your shoulders, meaning just relaxing your shoulders down, because so much of us, we carry all this tension up here, right? So if we can create some space, some length between our ears and our shoulders, is one way. But as it refers to the breath, 60% of our lungs are in the posterior, but most of us don't use our back lungs. We just kind of breathe shallow and fast. So when we breathe in meditation, if we can bring conscious direction to sending your breath towards the posterior body, the back body, oftentimes those alveoli, they're crunched, right? But when you consciously direct air there, you might actually be able to inflate those micro balloons and create space where there is not. It really just depends on, how your body is able to respond to that input, that input of creating space. But when I mean it, it's usually sending, finding room, finding give, finding an area where you can quite literally relax and create more of. Does that, how aptly was I able to answer that question?
Yeah. Yes.
Good.
That totally, you mean relaxing without holding your shoulders or anything, backbone little bit backside
Yes,
and stretching yourself, making a length on it
right.
without putting
And
any
really,
stress.
yes. And I think something that I've kind of discovered over the last couple of years, especially when you're doing like formal asana practice. I mean, certainly poses like Hanumanasana, or when you are, doing Shirshasana, those are advanced poses. But the idea of being able to gather into center and finding support in that confinement of, for example, in this case, your ribs, right? Feeling supported enough to be able to let go and send your breath where it doesn't normally go. So finding comfort in that confinement and finding support enough to be able to reach out.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other comments, questions?
Seema, I had a comment.
Yes,
Thank
Lily,
you for thank you for your talk today and for guiding us through that exercise. I sensed a theme in what you were saying, and that is to sort of live actively and to live with purpose. And when you're talking about alignment, we think that when things are sort of going our way, we are in alignment, but when something doesn't go the way we think it should, or the person or situation or whatever it is, I liked your idea of maybe looking at it from a different perspective instead of judging, that difficult person or thinking, why did this happen to me? If we sort of shift it, just like during meditation, you're talking about using, our whole body and lungs and just being active and not passively letting things happen to us, like being aware and maybe taking charge and trying to put a positive spin on things. That's something that took me a long time. Maybe only in the last couple of years I've actually welcomed the negative things, or the things that I thought weren't going my way, or the people that were in my life that shouldn't be there, and wondering why they were there. You actually learn a lot more from those people and those situations, right? Like your failures, and when things are not going your way, you learn about who you are. So I appreciated you guiding us through that. It's a good reminder to always see it from a different perspective and not just feel sorry for yourself or bad for yourself. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you for sharing that. And certainly it's a learned skill. It's, I mean, one I struggle with still every day, especially with, I think kids is what's most relevant for me, and really maybe for you, for those of us with young kids or even grandkids, right? Like they have this way, and I think you tell yourself a story, even outside of parenting, but when you have a challenging person and they say something or they do something, it's so easy to tell yourself a story about, they did this because, XYZ, and they're, doing this because they don't understand. They don't think about it. They're selfish. They whatever. But in reality, I found there's actually a lot of learning and discovery that can happen if we just allow ourselves to really see, I keep going back to kids because I have two young ones, and it's really humbling to have a child be your teacher. But it really can illuminate, sometimes a lot of old deep wounds, but also a lot of light and joy, if you just allow them to show you what they mean. There is often truth in what they're saying, regardless of how challenging it may be in the time. And if we can just find a way to pause and check into our bodies and see what is true versus truth, it becomes easier to fall into that alignment of what I want to be is this person, right? A person of love and compassion. What can I do to nudge myself in that direction? And so often then the lens changes. And then when the lens changes, the reality changes. And it can be truly quite impactful.
Seema, I like the use of the word alignment in personal life, because there's a very commonly used word in business, like business.
Mhm.
At work, are we aligned with the institutional goals? Are we aligned
Yeah.
with our leader? Are we? So if you're not aligned, you are out of there. So you're bringing that word into our personal life, how we are aligned with everything else we do in our personal lives, from our kids to parents to social life to divinity, to are we aligned in every aspect of it for us to function well. I like
Thank
that a
you.
lot.
Yeah, thank you. No, it's not to say that you shouldn't step out of line. I mean, if it is in alignment with yourself and out of alignment with what you feel society is telling you, then though it requires, I think, a lot more courage to be in alignment with yourself, it's far greater to do, your own dharma, far more important, far more impactful than to just fall in line because everyone else says I have to.
Seema, the alignment, like, and what is your dharma? That's something I kept reflecting. Most of us grew up in small villages in India, and our career choices were made by our parents. So, yeah, and at an age where we didn't know what is our dharma. In fact, the word dharma didn't even enter the vocabulary at that time. But it seems to me the good Lord is so compassionate. He will reveal it to you as you are growing up. What is your dharma? And the people who succeed in all spheres, inside and out, are the ones who adapt to the opportunities that are presented and lead a life that is in harmony with your nature. And because in my professional life, I try to mentor people, and one of the things we talk about, what do you want to be 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road? If you want to get there, you need to know where you want to go, and so that when you get there, you are there. So
Yes.
so planning for and living a life that aligns you to your goals. Hopefully those goals are dharmic.
Yes.
And but what is your dharma is something. Remember, even Arjun, he was confused. What is his dharma? And he was a very learned man by himself. So, and having faith in God would reveal it to you what is your dharma and get you to the right place. But have faith.
100%. And I'd like to point out too, dharma changes through the course of life, right? As a kid, your dharma is one thing. As you grow up and maybe you choose whatever career path for whatever reason, that is in alignment for that purpose, for whatever it may be. But when, as you said, God guides and allows for room and space to grow, it's okay that we don't adopt one dharma and it stays through life, right? It is okay for it to shift. It is okay for it to grow and hold different meaning as we progress through life.
Seema, thank you so much. It is 2 minutes past the hour. Really appreciate your presentation. Thank you for taking time and speaking with us.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for having me. It's always
Thank
a
you.
joy. Thank you.
Thank you, Seema ji. Me, Murali, and Dr. Biram can attest what you said about Manish. Thank you.
Don't tell him though. Don't tell him.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you
For
guys.
everyone
Thank
else,
you so much.
Manish is Seema ji's husband and our colleague in PQ. Thank you. He's our PQ chief, actually. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Good night. Shubharatri.
Shri Krishna. Good night.
Thank you.